Hello and welcome to Storytime. We are working our way towards Easter, aren't we? And so let's put Jesus on the storyboard. He's over here at this time and he's teaching his disciples. Let's put the disciples up here, shall we? Let's say their names. Peter, John. Who's this one? James. And Peter's brother Andrew, and some more, and Judas. Let's put Judas over here. There we go. Some of Jesus' disciples. Let's put the ladies up. Can you remember the ladies' names? I think you can. First one is Mary, and Mary, and Mary, and Joanna. There we are. Let's put Joanna over here. Fantastic. Good. So here's Jesus, and he's in a place called Perea, which is the other side of the Jordan River. And he's teaching his disciples, and he's teaching them things like how much God loves us and goes after us when we get lost. Remember last week we saw the lost sheep. And Jesus is teaching his friends, his disciples, that it will be difficult to be a Christian and to follow him sometimes. Now, what happens next? Well, let me tell you what happens next. The other side of the Jordan River, in a town called Bethany. Can you all say Bethany? It's a girl's name as well, isn't it? And it's a beautiful town. There lived a sister called Martha, another sister called Mary, that's right, Mary again. And they lived with their brother who was called Lazarus. Now, Lazarus wasn't well, so we're going to put him on his bed. We'll pretend that he's indoors. Okay, Lazarus was sick, quite sick. In fact, both Martha and Mary were really worried about their brother. They were good friends with Jesus and they sort of knew where Jesus was, but he was quite a long way away. In fact, he was probably about a day's walking journey away. And so what the sisters did, when Lazarus got sicker and sicker and sicker, they called one of their friends, a messenger, and they said, please go and get Jesus. Ask Jesus to come. Tell Jesus that one of those who you love is sick. And so the messenger went off. It took him about a day to get to Jesus, and let's put him over here. So eventually he comes to where Jesus is. Whilst the messenger is on his way, very, very sadly, Lazarus dies. Yeah, Lazarus dies. The sisters are devastated because their brother is dead. And they have to bury him, or they don't actually bury him, they wrap like cloths around him, a bit like a mummy, really, and they put him into a cave cut from the rock, and they put a big stone in front. Jesus will eventually be put into a cave like this too, and a big stone will be rolled in front as well. Lazarus, who has died, is put inside the tomb. And the sisters are crying and they're weeping and they're mourning. Well, when Jesus gets the message that Lazarus was sick, you see, the messenger doesn't know that Lazarus has died, but Jesus kind of does. And so when the messenger goes there and tells Jesus, do you know what? Jesus stays where he is for 2 more days. And then he says to his disciples, let's go to Bethany because our friend Lazarus is asleep and I'm going to wake him up. And they said, if he's asleep, he's going to wake up. And Jesus said, no, he's not actually asleep. He has died. And it was good that I wasn't there. But we're going to go there now. And what I'm going to do is going to help you to put your trust in God even more. And so Jesus, with his friends, started to make the journey to Bethany. So here's Jesus. We put him over here now. Okay. And we put Mary and Martha here. And they got friends with them as well. Well, Martha is waiting and Mary are waiting for Jesus. And when Jesus is quite near the house, Martha goes out to meet Jesus. And she sees Jesus and she's disappointed. Can you show me your disappointed look on your face? She is sad. She had thought that Jesus would have come straight away and maybe stop Lazarus from dying. And so she says to Jesus, she says, Master, if you had been here, our brother wouldn't have died. And Jesus begins to talk to Martha and he says to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live even though he dies. He said, Martha, do you believe that? And Martha said, yes, I believe that. Because Jesus had said, your brother will rise again. And Martha said, I know he will rise again on that day when everyone rises again at the judgment. But Jesus was saying, but no, I am the resurrection and the life right now. Well, Martha kind of understood, but not absolutely, not fully what Jesus was saying. Jesus continued his journey and Mary arrives. Here's Mary, her sister. Now the Bible tells us that when Mary came, she fell down on her knees before Jesus. You have to pretend that she's on her knees. And she was crying. And she said to him, Master, if you had been here, our brother wouldn't have died. Do you know, she says exactly the same as her sister. The Bible says when Jesus saw Mary, he saw all the people crying. Jesus began to cry too. He wept when he was there, even though he knew what he was going to do. He then said to the sisters, he said, where have you put him? And they said, we have already put him into the tomb because Lazarus has been dead for 4 days. So Jesus goes to the tomb. We're going to put the sisters, let's put the sisters kind of over here, shall we? Like this. Jesus goes to the tomb. And all the people are there as well. There we are, like that. And Jesus says to the people, take the big stone away from in front of the cave. No, we can't do that, they said, because it would be smelly. Because Lazarus has been in there for such a long time now. Jesus said, take the stone away. Do you know, when Jesus says something, it's always good to do it. If it says it in the Bible, we can believe it. And when we obey it and do it, we then see the goodness of God at work. So do you know what? The people moved away. The big stone. There we go, like that. And then in a loud voice, Jesus called out, Lazarus, come out! And as the people watched, a man wrapped up in cloth. Can you see him like that? All wrapped up. Started to come out of the cave. You can imagine the people going, oh, wow, what's going on? Wow, it's amazing. The people cannot believe it. Lazarus has come back to life again, but he's still wrapped up with all the cloths around his body and around his face. Then Jesus calls out and he says, take off the grave clothes and let him go. And so the sisters would have taken off the grave clothes and let Lazarus go. Do you want to see Lazarus now? Here we are. There's Lazarus. No longer is he dead. He is now alive. Let's put, there we go, look, there he is. There's him with Jesus and there's the sisters as well. Wow. Lazarus, who was dead, is now alive again. Do you know, news about Lazarus spread and spread and spread. It spread everywhere. People came to look at Lazarus. In fact, some of the religious people, when they found that Lazarus had been raised from the dead, they wanted to kill him again because they were jealous of Jesus. Wow, what an amazing story. Now, I haven't quite finished yet. You see, the city behind here, this is the city of Jerusalem. Can you all say Jerusalem? Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem. And he's on his way to Jerusalem for the very last time. And when he gets there, it's going to be the start of the last week, the week that leads up to Easter, where Jesus will die on the cross. Well, the Bible tells us that whilst Jesus was on his way to Jerusalem, let's put him over here. He's got his friends with him. Look at that. Let's put a few more people here as well, shall we? Let's put a few more. Look, there we are. Lots of people. Put some more over here. These guys, his disciples there as well. Jesus is on his way. And the people are with him. They're going with him. They don't really understand what's going to happen. Even though Jesus has told the disciples that he's going to die, they don't really get it. They don't really understand it. And it says that Jesus had to go through the city of Jericho. Can you say Jericho? Jericho. And you go through the city of Jericho on the way up to Jerusalem. So as Jesus is going through Jericho, it tells us that there was a blind man sitting at the gate. Let's put him here. There's the blind man. And he heard that Jesus was coming by, and he started to call out, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. The people said, shut up. His name was Bartimaeus. Be quiet, Bartimaeus. But Bartimaeus would not be quiet. He kept calling out, Jesus, Jesus. This was his time. This was his opportunity. He was not going to let Jesus pass by. When he heard the crowd and heard it was Jesus, he kept calling out. Jesus stopped. He said, bring him over here. Come over here. Bartimaeus got up. They brought him to Jesus. And Jesus said, what do you want me to do for you? Might seem like a strange question because he was blind, but Jesus asked, what would you like me to do for you? It's a bit like a prayer, isn't it? Bartimaeus said, I'd like to see. And Jesus opened his eyes and gave him his sight back. Bartimaeus got up and he joined with Jesus' friends, his disciples, and he became part of the crowd that was on its way to Jerusalem. But there's someone else I want to tell you about very, very quickly. And here he is. He lived in this big house over here in Jericho. He was a rich man. He was a tax collector. He wasn't liked. His name was Zacchaeus. There we are. This is Zacchaeus. Look. Zacchaeus heard about Jesus. He was a small man. He saw the crowds. He heard what Jesus was doing. And he used to work for the Romans. And he used to collect money from the Jews, from Jesus and the other people. And he would take more than he should. He was a cheat. He was quite rich, but he wasn't happy. He heard Jesus was on his way. And he wanted to see Jesus. But because he was small, he ran on ahead, probably behind everybody. Here he goes. And he climbed a tree. Put him up the tree. It was called a sycamore tree. So he gets up the tree and he's hiding behind the branches in the tree as Jesus and his disciples are going by. But when Jesus gets to the tree, he looks up, he stops and looks up. And I reckon everybody else looked up as well. Should we all do that? They all looked up the tree and Zacchaeus is hiding in the branches and Jesus calls, Zacchaeus! Do you know Jesus knows your name? God knows your name and he knows what's going on in your life. He knows what you're worried about and upset about. And he cares for you. Jesus said, Zacchaeus, come down. I need to come to your house and have a pizza. I need to come to tea. But people knew what Zacchaeus was like. And they started to say, Jesus can't go to his house. He's a bad person. But Jesus came to help all people, particularly people who know they're bad. Zacchaeus came down. Jesus went to his house with him. And they went inside and they probably had, I don't know if they had a pizza, but they had some food. But when Zacchaeus came out again afterwards, he was like a different person. He said to all the people, if I have cheated you and taken money and stolen from you, I'm going to pay you back 4 times. I'm also going to give half of all that I own to the poor people of my city. Wow, people were so happy. And Jesus said that God's salvation has come to this house today. And that's the story of Zacchaeus. So today we've seen Lazarus raised, we've seen Zacchaeus, who Jesus has praised, and we've seen Bartimaeus, who Jesus has given his sight back, and he's become one of Jesus' friends. Next week, we're going to ride into Jerusalem with Jesus. I look forward to seeing you then. God bless.